Test, test, test. Hello.
That worked when I moved it. I'll scoot it forward.
Test, test. Test.
This is Lisa. I can hear you, Melissa, on Zoom.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lisa.
Sure. Hi there.
Box still, right? For me? It was in your box, right? Yes. Okay, good. Down there, it's not. Awesome. Hey, Robert. Nice.
How's it going?
It's good.
Good.
It's 6 o'clock. We're going to call the meeting to order. If I can have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Wilson,
Here.
Commissioner Williams,
Here.
Commissioner McCarrick,
Present.
Vice Chair Coker,
Present.
Chair Davis.
Here. Robert, or excuse me, Commissioner Coker, can you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we are operating under these new meeting guidelines. I will explain our meeting procedures. Agenda items will be open for public comment before final action is taken via Zoom or email. Because we are operating in a virtual setting, I will call upon my colleagues one at a time to speak. After commission deliberation, I will call for a roll call vote by the city clerk. And we do have limited seating here at the city chambers, and welcome. Can I have a motion for the adoption of our agenda, please?
Madam Chair,
And-
Oh.
Sorry,
just prior to the meeting, we noticed that the normal public comment section was not on the agenda. So this is the opportunity for anyone to make a comment on something that's not on the agenda. So we would recommend that you would provide that opportunity to the public.
do we have any public comment? If you would come up to the podium and announce, provide us your name, please.
Mostly to this. So
Thank you.
I hope those people out there on Zoom can hear me. I'm Vicky Christo. And there are a couple of concerns that I have, as I'm sure other people do that live in the Burns Valley area. with regard to this cannabis grow. First of all, I want you to know that I have no issues with that cannabis grow. I'm not opposed to it at all, and I understand why it can benefit our city. The thing that I'm most concerned about is the water usage, and I understood from Joey on the other meeting the other night that it's the water is going to be recycled, which is wonderful, but I have to say recycled water evaporates. And so they will be pulling out of the well. And I'm concerned that hasn't been a hydrology test for it. So that concerns me. I've lived out there for 36 years, and I've had a well and I've had a huge garden all those years. And when all the vineyards started coming in, I started losing my water. And I know I've been told that's not from the vineyards, but that's when it started. And of course, now it's even worse because of the drought. It's terrible. So that's one of my concerns. Another one is the water, and then also the scenic 300 feet. I'm concerned that I know that's been, I believe it's been a law for a long, not a law, but in place for a long time. But I just can't help but think that that it should, with so much property that he has, that it should be moved back. We have to start somewhere to keep that scenic view through there. And they're really across the street from that's the bus depot for Canocti, which is, been there forever. And prior to that, it was a boat place. But sometime we have to start with that scenic corridor. And I don't know why, we don't do that now with as much property as Joey has for that. Okay, so I mentioned the water, I mentioned the scenic corridor, and I'm just wondering about the actual plan, which I'll find out later, the landscape plan, if there's an actual plan or it's just drawings. And I know that's what you're going to discuss tonight, so I wanted to hear more about that. So I'm looking forward to hearing about that. So those are my concerns, and those are pretty much the same concerns for most of, I know, the people that live out there in Burns Valley. So thank you.
Thank you, Vicki. Do we have any more public comment?
This is Erin on the Planning Commission. I'm actually going to take this moment to recuse myself.
Thank you, Erin.
I have a it doesn't mess up any votes because I wasn't there. I wasn't present at the vote on this previously. So I am going to recuse myself, and I guess text me if you want me to come back on at the end.
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you.
There's another one online.
So, Madam Chair, I think we should probably have our deputy city attorney weigh in on. So this is public comment. So this is items not on the agenda. We understand that the folks that are here are interested in the project, just that is on the agenda, just maybe in an expanded perspective on that. So Mr. Collins, could you give us some direction on whether it would be most appropriate to let folks address those issues under public comment or at a different point in the meeting?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Flora. This is Keith Collins, the Deputy City Attorney covering your meeting tonight. Mr. Flora is correct that the item on the agenda tonight is related to the topic that was just spoken about in public comment. You'll notice that the agenda item tonight is rather narrow in that it is only with respect to the design review of the cannabis project. So broader comments on the project itself is appropriate at this stage of the agenda, where general public comments for non-agenda items can be made. With that said, it's certainly fine if the Commissioner Aaron wants to recuse herself at this point, but there's no item currently being deliberated, even though it's somewhat related to the item coming up on the agenda. Does that make sense, Mr. Flora?
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure that we had your recommendation on how to address the sort of additional comments related to the project outside of design review. So it
Sure,
sounds like Mr. Hughes, now's your.
Please.
I think I just want to back up what,
Can
Um,
you, for the record,
oh, I'm sorry. Name is Dave Hughes. I live at 2705 Old Highway 53 in Clearlake. And again, I think my point is that I don't think okay, there was proper notice. Everybody within 600 feet got notified. There was notification in the newspaper, I'm sure. But I didn't receive the staff report on the last hearing until Saturday for a meeting on Monday. And I have to work. And do I want to spend all day Sunday reviewing stuff? And I think I should have spent more time than I did. But my point is, I wasn't prepared. And I'm wondering if the Planning Commission was really prepared for that meeting. There was very little discussion at the meeting. There was a question about the design. Mr. Flora made the comment, yes, but go ahead and approve the use permit. You can look at the design later. So let's keep the project moving. And I don't have a problem with expediting projects where you can. And I think the city should, and they should continue to do that. But I also think a project of this size, 50,000 square feet of building, 36,000 square feet of greenhouse. He's going to be growing marijuana. He's going to use water. The main part of the project is between the highway and the high power transmission lines that go from Cobb Mountain to the Sacramento Valley. Parking isn't per code. Caltrans is going to approve the access. Well, that's fine, but what is it? What is the access? Is it right in and right out? I was talking to the applicant a little while ago, and he said something about a right turn and doing it on his own property, and I'm not sure what it is for access. So my point is, I didn't make comment at the public hearing. I was at a computer. Normally, I can get on Zoom meetings and I get on the phone so I can talk on the phone, or on the right side of the screen, I can ask questions. The city is not set up that way. So I should have shut down and come down here, but I didn't. We had a 7-day appeal period. We didn't take advantage of it because we didn't have enough information to appeal until after the 7 days were done. So we did go to the city council meeting. We asked them to delay the development agreement, send it back to you to review our concerns, and they decided to go ahead and approve the development agreement. So all we want to do is make sure our concerns have been addressed and we don't feel that they have. Use permits can be modified, and I hate to see a delay on a project, but I think there's a need to review the use permit.
thank you. Proceed. Do we have any other public comments? Do we have any online?
There are no hands raised in the Zoom, and I have not received any public comment for this meeting.
So sure.
Sullivan, whose well is currently being a very big problem. They flush their toilets twice a day. They've let no lawn, they're letting their lawn die. And she said her main concern is the water. With all the vineyards, several new houses, and the drought, our well is sometimes working, sometimes not. Not sure exactly what the problem is. We've ordered a storage tank, so that should help. We've let the lawn die and flush toilets maybe twice a day. It's gross. I am also somewhat concerned about the security and crime close to the neighborhood. She says, I won't be able to come to the meeting tonight, and I have a feeling our concerns won't be heard. But thanks for all that I've done. So her main thing is water and crime. So I didn't even address the crime part, but with the security aspects of it, I'm hoping crime wouldn't be a problem, other than drawing people to the neighborhood.
Thank you. Anyone else? We will go ahead and close the public comment portion. And if we can go ahead and adopt the agenda. If I can have a motion for that, please.
To adopt the agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the agenda, the motion to adopt the agenda. And Fawn, your mic was not on.
Should be up.
Is it working now?
Yes, thank you.
Have a roll call?
Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Vice Chair Coker, and Chair Davis.
Yes. So tonight on the agenda is our newly proposed design option for the commercial cannabis operation. Recommended action is for us to adopt the resolution number PC 2021-15 approving option C of the exterior elevation drawings for the previously approved commercial cannabis operation at 2560 Highway 53. So if we can have the staff report, please.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. So as you'll recall, we already got a little bit of a summary of the process during public comment, but several weeks back, this project was before the commission. At that time, one of the commissioners, Commissioner Wilson, mentioned that she would like to see some additional design options for kind of the facade of the building. And so what we discussed at the time, a few options in doing that. And the commission decided to go ahead and approve the use permit, but direct the applicant to come up with some additional options and bring that back for final approval of the commission, which is what we're doing here tonight. And so I'm going to share my screen. It might make it just a little bit easier here. So the original application included two different design options. This is one of them. The larger part of the building here is the same in all of these. It's really this front part to kind of break up the massing that looks a little different. You can see this is just kind of a shed style roof. This is the entryway here, and then there's some little design elements kind of around the corners of that. Option number 2 includes more of like a mansard front roof around there rather than the shed roof. So it's a little taller, but it breaks up the massing a little bit. This portion at the entrance is really the same. And then these sections here on the corners. And so the new option that was drawn up is this one here, which shows this sort of gable style roof that kind of breaks up the middle of that. The entrance piece is the same, but I don't know. You guys all have this in your packet, so hopefully you kind of looked at it, but I guess it's a little bit of a better view. And we do think that based on the concerns of the commission, kind of breaking up the massing, they did look at the building that was suggested in Lower Lake. But, from staff's perspective, we feel like this does a better job than the other two options of kind of breaking up the large mass of the building from the highway. So that's really all we have to present. Just take any comments from the commission related to this. And I don't know, the applicant was supposed to be here, but doesn't look like he's arrived yet. So I don't know if you have any questions for him, but.
Commissioner Wilson, do you have any questions?
No, thank you. I can support the third and new option. I understand it's an industrial zone. It's an industrial looking building, but that breaks up some of the lines, and I appreciate having another option.
Commissioner Williams?
Excuse me, no additional questions.
Vice Chair Cooker?
I have no additional questions either. So whichever ones we want to adopt, I'm good with it.
So, and looking at them, I do agree. I kind of like number C better as far as its appearance. I like the roof lines and so if we don't have any other questions by commissioners, we can go ahead and make a motion.
We should ask
Oh,
if the public.
I
has any
apologize.
comments.
Do we have any public input on the design?
Well, you already know my other concerns. I know Ms. Wilson mentioned, I think she mentioned the scenic corridor. I'm wondering if a design shouldn't include landscape. I mean, you've got some pretty pictures here that show some trees and some fluff, but I don't see a landscape plan. Never did see a landscape plan. I know in the packet, one of the packets, there's a little site plan here that shows the building, then it shows a trash enclosure right there facing the highway. And, if we're really trying to hide things, it's an enclosure, yeah, but shouldn't it be maybe in the back instead of in the front facing the highway? I mean, I'm just throwing out things, I guess. I think ideally on 15 acres, it could have been in a different location and maybe spread on both sides of the driveway. But regardless, obviously, unless you want to go to something stick built with stucco and stuff, we are in an industrial area. Warehouses are common. But again, the warehouse aspect of it in the scenic corridor, I think, needs to be addressed. So, like I said, I never saw a landscape plan. I still never have seen a circulation plan or a driveway access plan. And I think those are pretty important, as well as the water. By the way, I did talk to Mr. Gustafson, and he was saying, he mentions he has a well and he can use the well on that water. And I said, well, yeah, that's a fact. But the point is, if we allow a use that's more intense on the use of the water, that could affect neighboring properties. So again, I think the water issue is important. I think the access issue is important. And you just need to do what you can to minimize the impact of the scenic corridor. I mean, that's the entrance, that's the first thing you see when you hit the city limits, because the old highway and Ogden Canyon area are the city limits. So just make sure, you got the school bus yard, and I know that's not the prettiest thing in town. And we got Thurby's mansion next door to that, which is an old, I think it was a camper that goes over a pickup truck that old man Mr. Thurby used to live in. And you've got the industrial park up on Ogden, but I think those precede the scenic corridor. We have a scenic corridor now, and we should make sure we're taking care of it. So anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Any other comments?
Yes, Vicky Crystal again. Am I to understand that they are taking out those trees that are already there? There's a, on the hill, there's all these beautiful oak trees. And if they're taking, it looks like they're going to take those out and put in a few little ones around the building. And that's a concern because like Dave Hughes said, we haven't actually seen a landscaping design, and I would like to see something like that go in, because taking out more oak trees out of this community is painful. And I know there's been a lot of reasons we've had to take them out, and it's understandable, but I would like to see a landscape for replacing oak trees and not miniature oak trees. Thank you.
Is there any comments on Zoom?
Madam Chair, there are no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, so if there are no other comments, we can go ahead and I will take a motion for the approval of the plan design.
I move to approve a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Clearlake approving option C of the exterior elevation drawings for the approved commercial cannabis operation located at 2560 Highway 53, further described as assessor parcel number 010-048-050.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And may I have a roll call?
Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Vice Chair Coker,
Yes.
Chair Davis.
Yes. So the motion passes. We have a report?
I was just realizing I definitely didn't prepare a report really today. I've been a little distracted. We're trying to finalize the budget for adoption next week by the city council. But let's see, off the top of my head, some of the development projects, I'm sure most of you noticed that the Starbucks project is finally underway and going along quite well. So that's certainly generated a lot of excitement in the community about that. We continue to make progress on a whole variety of development projects throughout the city. We're working on 3 different mixed income housing projects. We've had some really good interest from multiple developers in doing some market rate, normal housing development. So we're hopeful to get a couple of those projects moving relatively soon as well. And then of course, there's just a lot of activity at the airport. We're trying to finalize our infrastructure design there based on some of the tenants we've been working with, and get all of our funding and everything lined up. The goal being to start construction on those improvements, hopefully in the spring of next year. And then, of course, the Burns Valley Sports Complex project is coming along. That's also the site of one of the housing projects that we have lined up. And so there's been some activity out there. We're expecting to work on the public works yard and the mudslingers, kind of that section that we've talked about before, the coffee place off of Olympic. We'll be working on that later this year and getting all of our stuff moved over from the airport property. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, it's I think probably unlike any other time in the city's history. Today, I was finishing up the capital projects budget for next year, which includes over $35 million of projects that will be starting this next year. So it's a pretty exciting time. So that's my report, unless you have any questions about it.
Have any questions? Dawn? Commissioner Williams, or excuse me, Wilson, do you have any questions for him?
No, thank you.
Does any of our commissioners have any future agenda items they would like added? Commissioner Williams,
No.
Vice Chair Coker.
The only concern I have is about the striping of the roads. It needs to be redone again. Once you get past the police department, you can't see the yellow lines. So I believe the city needs to concentrate on restriping the roads before winter.
I don't know that that would be our agenda item.
Yeah, it's not really a planning commission thing, but since you brought it up, I'd be happy to let you know that certainly the striping doesn't last as long as we would like. It looked brand new for a few months and then, but the city did purchase our own striping machine recently. And so I'm not sure when that's coming up in the schedule, but we are looking to hit all those major corridors at least again relatively soon, because it does make a big difference, and it's a safety issue as well.
So I would like to thank everybody for their public comment and their concerns. And I appreciate you coming here tonight and spending your time here. Our agenda item tonight was for the plan itself. And if there are no other comments, then we can go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Do I need a motion to adjourn? Okay. Okay, motion is adjourned, or excuse me, meeting is adjourned.